All right. All right. From same person, again, thank you very much. It says dual monitor support issue. I don't know. I wanted to say somebody asked me this. I don't know if it's the same person that asked me on YouTube this same question, but it doesn't matter. We're going to go over it again because we're doing it for the video. It says dual monitor setup issue. Dual monitor setup by using docking station. All wires are connected correctly, but still not working. How to troubleshoot issue remotely. That's a great one. But first thing first, we're going to assign the ticket to myself. And this is going to be a combination one. You're going to have to take control of the user's computer. So again, go through the motions where you get the host name to connect, the computer name to connect to their computer. You're going to have to go inside of that computer and check settings, check their monitor settings to make sure that they're set up correctly. Sometimes you can have a disabled monitor. All right, let me see what I have here. I'm remoted into this computer, so it's not going to show me display resolutions. All right, so I actually went ahead and connected a second monitor. So this is me in the future, maybe like 2 minutes in the future. So this is on my main computer. I went ahead and connected the second monitor. You see how they show up here? Let me go scroll up here. So obviously make sure that they're enabled. You know, once you have them connected, make sure they're enabled. And this is, you can access this just by right-clicking desktop and going to display settings. If you have two monitors, they both show up like this. And so I have them disabled, and one of them is disabled. Let me see here. The first one here, when I scroll down, you can see that this one is a 4K monitor. You can see that the resolution is set up to recommended. By the way, always change it to recommended unless user wants something more specific. And you can see that right here it says show only on one. And the reason for that is that you can extend the display, you can duplicate these displays, or you can show only on two. So this is obviously an issue here. I've only got one enabled basically, but if I was to extend these displays, it's going to extend from 1 to 2. So if I scroll back up, it's going to extend from this one to this other one, which I am not going to do right now because I'm afraid it's going to mess up the recording, the video recording. I've had that happen before too. But yeah, you would enable that like so. You can also do Windows P. If you hold the Windows key and press P, you can cycle. You see that? I hope this shows up on the video. If you just hold Windows key and keep pressing P, you can see on the right that you can enable and disable, and just this is a quick way of doing the same thing I just showed you. Okay, and of course once you enable the second one, make sure that the resolution is adjusted as well. Okay, now to go back to this to a specifically docking station, obviously I know it says here all wires are connected correctly, but this is something you have to check with the user again. Make sure everything is pushed in, make sure everything is screwed in tightly, make sure that everything's pushed in and clicked in, whether it's HDMI or display port cable, make sure it's pushed in all the way. All right, so let's look at the example of a docking station. And there are, newer laptop docking stations are just the USB-C, and they look like sort of like a small brick, and you plug it in on the side into the USB-C, and then it just kind of extends. However, these are these are older type ones. So these are the predecessors of the ones that you just plug into USB-C, and it's like a little brick on the side. Those are the newer ones. This is the one before that, these type, and then we've got let's see, these are even older ones. These are really old docking station. Let me see if I can get a good picture of this to zoom in. All right. So yeah, this is the newest ones. Okay, this is the newest ones like this. You know, it's just a USB-C, you plug it in, and then from there you got display ports, you know. Obviously make sure that's connected, you see. You know, and then you get display ports, you get USBs, and this is how the new docking stations are. The older ones are, let me see here. I'm going to try to go backwards in generations if I can. Scrolling through these images. Yeah, here's a good picture. So going backwards in generations, so current is USB-C, this is the one before that. So make sure that the laptop itself is pushed in on top. Make sure it's clicked in all the way. Make sure it's clicked in. And there really isn't much else to it. Make sure that if it needs to be screwed in, make sure that these little parts, there's a little cable is screwed in onto this VGA here. If it has a DVI, the same deal. Make sure that it's screwed in. Make sure it's tight, not just here, but on the back of the monitor as well. And besides from that, and checking system settings, like I showed you already, there really isn't much else to do. Assuming everything is connected correctly, if it's still not working, then I would try to install a new display driver. Like for example, this computer has, I want to say Intel. Yeah, it's Intel. So it has Intel because I don't have a GPU installed in here separately or in addition. I would get Intel updated drivers if that's the issue. But for me personally, if this looks okay, if it looks like it's installed, then and it's still not working, then most likely it's the docking station itself that it's bad. So this would be trial and error type of thing. But if you know for sure, which may be hard to do with a user or a customer on the phone, because you have to take their word for it, then if it's still not working, and obviously make sure that the monitors are powered on, everything looks fine. Make sure that when they power on the monitor, that they do get a message that says no signal or something like that, just some indicator that the monitors are working properly. If all else fails, all the basic things fail, and in this case, it's connected to the docking station, you can assume that it might be the docking station itself is bad, because I've seen this with these specific docking stations actually from HP. I've seen these issues with the docking. I've had a bad docking station, especially HP. I don't know about the other ones, but it just so happened that my company used HP. But I've seen bad docking stations with the exact same issue. But you can also, I don't know if your laptop might have two, two display port connectors or one VGA or whatever. If you can connect it directly to the laptop, you can try that as well. And if that's not working, then it could be some kind of hardware issue. But that's where I would start and probably end up with a bad docking station. But there are questions that need to be answered and things that need to be troubleshooted without verification. All I can do is just kind of tell you the things you can check. So I'm going to add internal note. User stated that everything is connected properly. Checked cables and made sure that monitors power on. Checked system settings. Checked display driver setting. I'm just going to call it that, but it's the thing we talked about when it comes to reinstalling display driver. You can try to do that too. You can do it remotely too if you have a Dameware, which allows you to do it. Your picture will go out, but then you can reconnect later. Everything. Well, let's say this. Last thing we're assuming now that since we've checked everything, absolutely anything, I'm going to say the most likely cause for this issue is bad docking station. Helped user, or I should say, let's just pretend that we are doing the hardware like we did before, that we're ordering hardware for users. Ordered new docking station on behalf of the user. And of course, tell them if when they get the new one to call help desk if issue persists. You know, so this is but the only thing you can do. Try your best. The users will understand that as long as you've tried your best to resolve the issue, then even if you don't fix it, then they're not going to get mad. You're not going to get in trouble. As long as you do your work and do it to the best of your knowledge, that's about all you can do, especially when you're doing help desk because you don't have physical access to anything. So that which would be different. The main access you have is remote desktop, and I wouldn't be surprised if some help desk didn't even have that, you know. But I don't know. Hopefully, so this is one of those situations where you just kind of have to try your best and see what works, because there are many things that you need to check in this case, and a lot of it is you have to take users' word for it when it comes to physical connection. Because I've had user where he literally said, I don't know anything about computers. So they wouldn't understand anything I was telling them. For example, can you please check to make sure that the cables are connected in the back of the monitor of the back of the computer? Well, which box? Some users assume that the monitor itself is their computer. You know, things like that. So do your best and then just go from there. It's about all you can do. You can consult with your coworkers what they might think, but in this case, it'll be the same thing. You know, you can ask your manager, supervisor, just to make sure, you're okay. You know, and that this is how I go about this. If we know, if we can eliminate the docking station out of the issue and it's still not working, then it's a physical hardware issue, right? It's the laptop itself that it's not working, because we've done all of these other things that I've mentioned. If you check all of these other things that I've mentioned, the only thing that's left is hardware issue, right? All right. I hope that's um, easily understandable, because sometimes you will come across these type of issues.